Time now then for Campaign Chronicles. It's our daily look at the race to be France's next president. Today we're looking beyond France to Germany, and specifically at rumours published in the German magazine Der Spiegel. They claim there's a European plot against the socialist candidate Francois Hollande. Apparently, Conservative leaders Angela Merkel, Mario Monti, Mariano Rajoy and David Cameron have agreed not to meet Hollande during his campaign in solidarity with Sarkozy. For more on this, we've got with us our correspondent Jessica Saltz in Berlin, and also our press reviewer Elena Casas. Hello to both of you. We're going to start off with you. First of all, Elena, just explain what the fuss is all about, can you?
Why is the offending article in Der Spiegel, which turned up online on Saturday and has caused such a fuss? And according to it, as you said, all those leaders have apparently agreed not to talk to or meet Hollande during his race for the campaign. Now, for Angela Merkel, Mario Monti and Mariano Rajoy, this is about his desire to renegotiate the European Stability Pact, which ties France, along with other European countries, into a whole bunch of budgetary discipline measures. And they're worried that if he renegotiates it, then that could put the whole future of the euro into question. So that's why they don't want him to win. For David Cameron, of course, he hasn't actually signed that treaty in the first place. But apparently, according to this report, he has agreed along with them not to meet Hollande. Hollande, of course, was in London last Wednesday and met Labour leader Ed Miliband, but not the Prime Minister, because apparently Cameron wants to show his solidarity with Sarkozy. Now, this, of course, allows a fairly easy door for the French right-wing press to push at, as Les Echos have done today in their editorial, and say, look, you can't possibly elect Hollande because he can't get on with our European partners who we have to talk to, obviously. Otherwise, you know, we can't have any kind of European solidarity. But then, on the other hand, as the website Rue 89 points out, this doesn't make any of them look very good because they're all meant to rise above their party political divides and talk to one another as joint leaders if Hollande is elected. It shouldn't matter so much for the German leader whether he's right or left. She still has to work with him. So it looks like they're all being a little bit adolescent, and it might actually do quite well for Francois Hollande in the polls. It helps him gain credibility on the left, because two things that are very unpopular with French voters are, firstly, foreign leaders trying to get too involved in their election, and secondly, those budgetary discipline measures that the Stability Pact ties France into. So as neither of those things is popular, it might actually work out well for him with voters. And he seemed pretty relaxed about it himself at the weekend.
I don't know if this is true. The information was published in a German newspaper, but I'm not surprised. Why? Because it seems normal that there should be an alliance between conservative leaders in Europe and the conservative presidential candidate in France. But what I'd like to tell them is that French voters alone will decide their own future. These European leaders that I respect won't weigh in on the French people's decision. We're a great nation, a great country, and we won't be commanded our choices by heads of state and government who are friends, but remain outside our democracy. I'll admit these heads of state and government will become my partners if I am elected president, but I will then try and convince them to include the necessity of economic growth in the European Treaty.
Yeah, so there you go. That's Francois Hollande there. He seems pretty confident, doesn't he, that he could work with his German counterparts. But what do they really think of him in Berlin? Well, let's bring in a correspondent, Jessica Saltz. Jessica, first off, then, how is Hollande viewed there, do you think?
Well, I think the Germans have certainly taken interest in Hollande since he started his electoral campaign, and he certainly seems here at least to be a credible candidate. But of course, in terms of public opinion and media reports, it of course depends on which side of the political spectrum you turn to. Some more left-wing papers here publishing reports speaking out in favour of the social reforms he plans to put in place in France if he is elected. And just as Angela Merkel so staunchly supporting Sarkozy in his re-election campaign, so too the Socialist Party here, the SPD, have spoken out in support of Francois Hollande, but perhaps not as staunchly as Angela Merkel is for Sarkozy. But we know, of course, that Merkel it's in her interest to get Sarkozy re-elected because they've come so far in efforts to tackle the debt crisis and now with this fiscal pact, which they've agreed on. And media reports here certainly reflecting Merkel's concerns that if Hollande is elected, he may want to adapt or make changes to this fiscal pact, which he's spoken about, and worries about whether this whole thing could unravel and be derailed if Hollande is to come to power, and how plans to further tackle the debt crisis could then be hindered.
Hi Jessica, Elena here in the studio. Isn't Angela Merkel taking a big political risk, though, by being so partisan in a foreign election?
Certainly, and this is the first time in German history that a German chancellor has become so involved in the re-election of a foreign counterpart. And so it certainly is seen as a risk. Of supporters of this idea are saying that perhaps this is quite progressive, that this is the future of Eurozone politics as these countries move closer together, that state leaders can start endorsing each other and supporting each other, and perhaps this is a good thing. But of course, this is sitting far less well with other people. Mostly French politicians. This has really riled the socialists in France, who are warning Germans about meddling in French politics. So too, this has led to rifts in Merkel's coalition government. The foreign minister, Guido Westerwelle, in an interview with Die Welt am Sonntag yesterday, reiterated that it is not a good idea for Germany to be meddling in French politics, and he enforced some restraint in German politics, saying that German party political conflict shouldn't be exported to France. And just as this is a risk for Merkel, who of course is ostracizing and snubbing Hollande, who she may have to build a relationship with in a couple of months if he is to get re-elected, this is also, of course, a risk for Sarkozy. He's very much tuned into French sentiment that Germany is a good economic role model. But is he taking this too far by allowing Angela Merkel to stand next to him on the re-election campaign?
Jessica, good to talk to you today. That's Jessica Saltz, our correspondent there in Berlin. That's today's Campaign Chronicles. And remember, of course, Elena still following the presidential race with an update, this time every weekday here on France 24. So stay with us for that. That's it from us for now. Stay with us, for more news. Jeannie will have it after the break.